Oh, could I just join the Zoom?
I don't know.
You don't think that would? Because I could join the Zoom. Hey, how are you? I
guess everybody can then.
I could share my screen once I'm joined into the Zoom, basically.
Yeah, see if it allows you. Yeah, it does.
Yep,
Yep.
I think it is. Yep, yep.
I'll just have to start it probably out there.
Okay, yep, yep,
Okay.
yep, that'll work. Do you happen to have a USB-C charger for a Mac?
I mean, like, you can use mine if it
Okay,
works.
okay. It's like for the new iPhone or for the Mac
No,
computer.
mine might not be.
But you still want to run it, there's someone that's going to happen. Kurt.
What do you say, bro?
What's up? How are you? Yeah. I slept poorly last night too. Yeah. With his chick or whatever, or just yeah. What's going on with this case?
Just the fact that there's so much shit that they can't prove and they can't do this and they can't do that. This is probably is going to get out in 4 years.
Really?
Well, the one dude that murdered my cousin, he got out in 7.
Really?
It was less than 7, and he did a absolutely full breakdown of everything that he did to my cousin. So it's like, oh, I knew he had a pacemaker, so I started wrestling with him to get him tired so he couldn't win. And when I knew that he was getting out of breath because of the pacemaker, I started stabbing him. He stabbed him 168 times, raped him, then caught him on fire.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I'd believe that.
Hate somebody right after he started fucking posting it. He's posting all this shit on Facebook. I called her the other day and I was like, "You're fucking up so goddamn bad that like there's a very good chance, and they have enough evidence with the shit that you're doing to completely close this down.
Yeah.
They can put everything that they need to do it."
Yeah.
So she didn't like hearing that, but I don't really give a shit.
Yeah. I don't have a very favorable opinion of her.
She's a horrible individual, dude.
Yeah.
So because careful what I say there.
Why can't you? Why can't you talk to her?
Love Scylla, dude. Don't get me wrong, I love Scylla to death. And she is a very good mother and a good person. She don't understand shit when it comes to the reality of life and bills and money and responsibility. She's never had to deal with it.
Yeah.
Mother is that dude. She's an amazing person. And she has grown a lot. But I can't ever talk to her about like what's going on with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like talking to you and me, like maybe you can talk and we can problem solve. Her, it's just like you basically talk and that's it. Like you don't hear anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's tough. Yeah. Yep.
you got a responsibility to take care of you.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
Now Texas,
so
it's getting the TurboTax app.
but
Filing your taxes yourself?
Yeah. We do. Yep. Yeah. I've just been working like crazy. Yeah. You did a little bit. Yeah. No, selling the house. What? What do you mean? Why? Who's gonna run it? That's crazy.
I know what he's doing. Because all the books come out. So, run and they going back in 2 years. I'm like, what? Turn around and come back in 2 years.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So, I would say this was ideal,
Mm-hmm.
but Bolton's got the respect of everyone. Salesmen, foremen, office that field. Once Colton gets in there, he's gonna be able to hit and run.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Bruce Ray is actually gonna do a lot better with you going, to be honest.
Will Colton take on the responsibility?
Thing that I don't know. Because originally Colton wanted your dad. Everybody saying dad died, he was out.
Wow.
So we shall see.
That's pretty crazy. I had no clue about that.
Bro.
How's your dad dealing with it?
To be honest with you, I think my dad's ready to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see it. I think he's just tired of being. It's just heartbreaking. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
At the same but like regrouping myself with a couple other things. Whether you and I meet up or you come over and see the kids,
Yeah, that'd be good.
we need to, even if it's, you know, kind of after our hours, then let's set it up then.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
but definitely got to hang out and reconstruct a little bit with you. It'd be nice to have somebody's honest opinion and somebody that actually has a fucking brain cell.
For sure. Yep. Yeah, let me know when you're free. I've been super busy recently, but we'll make it happen somehow.
What'd you say?
I said I've been super busy, but just let me know when works best for you and we'll make something work.
Okay.
Okay.
It's burgers.
Oh, awesome. Hey, Kurt, let me call you back if I can. Is that cool?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, see you, man. Bye.
Buddy,
What's up? How are you? Good to see you.
all ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Appreciate you doing this.
Yep, got printouts for everyone, and this is the thing I'm gonna read.
That's
over
why
basically.
I wanted you to do that post. I
Yep.
feel like when people hear from you too much, I don't get the traction or the engagement. And
Yep.
yours like blew up.
Good,
And then
okay.
like the team interacting, everybody. just
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep,
So
cool, yep.
hopefully we got some full seats for you today.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully it's impactful for people.
Yeah, I think it will be.
I think so.
Need anything?
Nope, I don't think so. I'm screen shared right now.
I'll be down now.
I'm on the Zoom meeting.
Finish lunch and then I plan to sit in for a little bit.
Okay, yep,
If you need anything.
sounds good. I have a extra printout here too. Kyle's not gonna be available. That's what that.
Yeah, I don't know that I rely on Kyle much anymore.
Yeah, yeah, with him moving,
Right.
it's tough, yeah.
Okay.
He didn't make us before, so it's not like, you
Right.
know, I said he didn't make us what we are, so it's like, you know, it is what it is.
It's tough when you like dedicate time and energy into people and helping them grow their business and then they're just kind of
And commitment.
It's essentially a middle finger.
Yeah,
That's how
yeah,
it drives me nuts.
yeah,
But writings on the wall, when I look at like a trend, a life trend, it's like, I can't be mad.
Yep.
Cause it was all there.
people move.
Yeah, just lack of consistency and.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I never really talked to him too much before sitting down with him the other day, and he has, like, he's solid.
Very.
He's solid, yeah,
But he has. It's hard for him to like. Stay still.
yeah,
So it's-
yep.
Yours very much the same, I kind of use.
This is just something I'm reading off of if you want, that as we go through too. I'm gonna try to make it interactive. My,
The best.
my thought is, I don't know how long it's gonna take because I haven't done it in this format
Maybe an
before.
hour, right?
Yes, I'm not gonna go over an hour, so I'm basically just gonna tell people we're gonna get as much as we can done. If there's extra, I'll send some wrap up or a video or something like that. My goal is to get it done in lesser,
Yeah.
because one of the things that I'm talking to everyone about is if you can accomplish the same goal in a lesser amount of time, you give yourself a pay raise
Yeah.
as a self-employed
Yep.
person. So
Yep.
it's like, our goal is to get this done sooner than an hour. If we get it done sooner than an hour, I'll just open it up for questions,
Say you
open
should know
forum.
that, like, you're doing this class again,
Yep,
so April would be the next round,
Yep.
so. Yeah,
I think we should be able to get through it all. I don't think it'd be any problem.
good,
Yep,
good deal, all right, I'll be back down.
okay, sounds good. Sorry, what were you saying, Sandy?
There was a couple of us at, Burgers Open on our way here.
Awesome, okay.
So, I buy these from realtor.com.
Okay.
I think that's the best one, or would you suggest something else?
So I think all leads just about can be good leads. So it really is up to you and what you feel like you're good at. Like I know with realtor.com, they're not exclusive leads, so they go to multiple different realtors. So you got the exclusive. Okay. Yep. Yep. That's better in my opinion if you pay for the exclusive leads. Yeah. Yep. I'm a big believer, not as much on what leads like you focus on, but just try to pick like three in your position. For someone newer, I would say like pick three sources, and one of them should always be sphere of influence. So maybe realtor.com leads are your other ones, maybe open houses are your other ones, but you should have three primary lead sources that you really focus on. So when that realtor.com lead comes in, if that's one of your three pillars, be on it, jump on them, have certain systems if you can, like however you reach out to them the first time. You can save a message in your phone, text shortcuts. So it could be like, hey, this is Sandy. I work with Keller Williams. Realtor.com uses me as a preferred realtor in the area. I see that you were interested in 123 Main Street. How can I help you, or whatever it might be? Have you ever done text shortcuts in your phone? Do you have an iPhone? Okay, let me show you this. This is cool. So I have a couple of them. Like one of them that I have is called follow up from call. So I type in FUFC,
Where are you at?
just in my regular text
Message?
messages. Yeah,
Okay.
well, you won't have them yet. So let's go to settings. Let's go to your settings.
Okay.
If you swipe down, you can type it on here. Type in settings. There you go. Yep. And then we're gonna click on general. Move it down a little bit. Yep, there's general. And then we'll type in the logic further. And then we'll do keyboard.
Keyboard?
Yep. And then text replacement. Right here.
Okay.
So if you type in like OMW right now, it automatically types in on my way. If you type that in the text, we're gonna do a new one. And let's just do a shortcut of or.com. You don't want to do realtor.com because then if you text realtor.com, it's gonna do all this. But if you do a shortcut and just
Yeah. Hey, this is Sandy Milburn.
there we go. Yep.
And
Oh my goodness, my
okay, what do you want me to say?
So I'm just doing something really simple just to show you what it's like, and then you can.
Hey, this is Sandy Milburn. Okay, see?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, if you go into your text, And let's say realtor.com lead comes in, you can type in r.com
Or,
and then a space. See how it automatically puts that in for you? So now you can go back to your shortcuts and you can type in, hey, this is Sandy, I'm one of realtor.com's preferred realtors, like something long, that's like nice and thought out, that you want to send to every client as a first text, basically.
okay,
And then,
where did you go?
yep,
Went to keyboards,
settings. And then general,
general, or no,
yep, yep,
okay.
and then keyboard, and then
Okay.
text replacement,
And then text replacement.
yep. Hello. And then when you do that, it does when you add one, it does the phrase on top, which I always think it should be the shortcut on top and the phrase on the bottom, but it does the phrase on top and the shortcut on the bottom.
And
You
what's
can
the
choose-
phrase?
The phrase is like whatever you want to say is the long version, and the shortcut is the little bit that you're gonna type in, it's automatically typing that message for you. So when
What would the long version be like?
so I'll give you an example, so if I get a text from Dave Ramsey, it's one of our, like, lead sources or whatever,
Is he good?
it's a hassle, you gotta go through, you have to watch like 20 hours of his courses, you have to pay like $3,000 up front, and then you pay $300 a month for no leads. So it's really not worth it in my opinion, but we had it because we were able to use the Dave Ramsey certified tag, which looks good for us as being younger agents and knowing that we know financially what we're talking about basically. But as far as like a true lead source, it's not that great. It's okay, it's not that great. But so for Dave Ramsey, Dave Ramsey text, it says, hi, and I put their name in. I just received an email from Dave Ramsey saying we're looking to either buy or sell a property in Canada by this time frame. Is this information correct? So you can do like keywords that are just shortcuts. Instead of me having to type that out every time, I can just type in that little bit and it types out the whole thing for you. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So if realtor.com is one of your sources, I would just make sure that you have a system that every time one comes in, I'm responding to it this way, I'm calling them right away, I'm doing this text, whatever it might be. Because as you do the same thing over and over, you're gonna get a lot better at that thing. One thing that I see realtors make a mistake of is they spread themselves out so far and wide. They're doing open houses, they're calling expired properties, they're calling for sale by owners, they're getting Zillow leads, they're getting realtor.com. They have all this stuff coming from all over, and it's really hard to like improve your craft and get better and better when you're spread out in so many different areas.
Email stopped here. And I know the last time I went in to Xfinity, I stopped getting my emails.
Okay,
He did one little thing and I got them back.
I'm not sure about that. It gets a little bit deeper for me.
Where he went?
I know there's like a mail server, and there's like a to and from, and you have to put a certain thing in, but I don't know how to find what you need to put in.
I'll have to call him because I'm not running down there. And I know he just went in here and did one little thing and
Yeah.
I got them all back again.
Okay, yep, yep.
But I don't know what he did. Do you know what he did?
Ready?
So do you think realtor.com would be better than, Dave Ramsey?
I think it's better than Dave Ramsey, in my opinion, yep. And realtor.com it's typically they're a lot less serious or like hungry than like a Zillow lead. They're not gonna buy quite as quickly. But our old coaching company said a lead is a lead, doesn't matter where. Zillow is a lot more expensive, but they do typically convert faster. So they're a quicker sale typically than a realtor.com. Yep, but they're really expensive. They're, man, I think the Zillow leads for like live connections are, do you know how much they are, Brady? Do you remember how much they are? I want to say it's like $300 or maybe per connection. Okay. Per month. Okay. How many leads do you get from that?
Well,
12, okay,
maybe one will turn out to be something.
yep, yep. Yeah, and Realtor.com doesn't have as high of a conversion rate, so you're gonna talk to more people, but it's gonna be cheaper each lead that you speak to. Where Zillow, it'll be like normally $200 to $400 per lead. So if you're spending $400 a month on Zillow, you might only get 2 leads that month. But they convert at, if you're really good, they can convert at like 20%, which is pretty strong. Realtor.com probably converts at 7 to 10%.
Said she had a realtor.
She did. Yeah, yeah. Yep,
So you just sent me that she has a realtor.
yep,
Why did you send me that?
yep, yep. Because they get money by sending it to you, sadly, because you pay for it. So the way they look at it, as every lead that they can generate is more money for them.
Right, well, that's something to look into. I
Yeah.
do like Redfin.
Okay.
I can't get back to Redfin.
Yeah, you sent 4.
I love Redfin. I love Redfin because I don't have to pay anything and
Oh, are they just a referral fee? Okay. There's a couple other companies out there like that. Ideal Agent. Yep, Ideal Agent is one of them. Yep. I'd probably just Google them. Yeah, I can't remember how we got, our marketing director got us hooked up with them, but I don't remember how.
I like to do something like that.
Yeah, yep. What's the other ones that we have with that, Brady? Ideal Agent. Upnest is another one. It's referral fee
Upnest?
only. Yep.
I think there's like a small fee with Upnext, but it's like a small, like $100 to start and then it's referral after that. Yeah, yeah. It's a restaurant.
Yeah.
What's happening, Brady? Another day, another dollar.
Should be in our calendar.
Yeah, they get the calendar and like them. Yeah, this-
And you was taking so long. Some, but you don't get all. Yeah, not all of them turn out, some will turn out.
How long?
Maybe never used them, but. It's something, you know. You need to- you gotta get into something. Yeah. Mr. Bob, where you get some of that? Why, like, crazy?
Yeah, you know that? Yeah, I stand out in the street.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here to escape my tactics.
Oh my God. The broker did it, and you only paid it down, you know, oh my God, the house is absolutely gorgeous. Did you go in?
Yeah, but I didn't want the company to sell it. I know you need something. I just didn't like the purchase. I know.
I don't think I'll need it, right?
Well, I wanted
Should
to
go to-
turn
Oh,
that down
gotcha.
and then I want to make sure everyone's on Zoom.
Gotcha, yep.
And if they have remote control toilet seats in the day. Okay.
Well, so she'll get it ready and then I'll go in and just make sure everything's correct and then I'll publish it.
Yeah, they have potential for something anyway. Without it, but it's so cold out there. I even kind of, you know, I got it for
This is today.
Yeah, I'm sure. I usually get a hold of them, but. It's getting cold here right now.
Oh, is it? Well, I also saw.
Tomorrow is gonna be a good day.
Thanks for doing that. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I think my 7-year-old Angela, that probably can say that.
That's a little I bet.
Probably.
He hasn't. He just didn't see it.
I don't usually pops up on calendar automatically. It's not great.
Yeah. Reminds me of something.
Yeah, trying to think of what application, not quite like those, but.
Yeah. Where's the Zoom one here? Oh, it is there. Yeah.
Everybody coming up that way into South Canada. Oh my God, I can't even find it. It's always backward.
Yeah.
Something like that. All right, coming up from.
Going now.
30.
Oh, that's why.
He's got.
These airplanes.
Yes.
I was like, why is that not working?
You might get since he's logged into it, you might get a weird,
Echo.
yeah. Broc's already in progress.
He might just have to mute his.
Yeah, there.
You mind?
Well, hold on.
Only. I just want this one up so the camera's up.
Okay.
Oh.
I was gonna say.
Test, test.
Maybe need yours and then we'll move ours.
Mute mine.
Alright, try now. That's. Yo, Echo, where's the picking?
So you might turn your volume down.
Please put mine. It's all? Okay, now we're good. You don't have slides?
No slides, but I am screen sharing.
Well, then maybe maybe I have to turn this off.
I'm only screen sharing for the people that are watching at home. I don't need to screen share for the people that are here.
No, we should.
Test, test. Nice. We're good.
And then just screen share. Out. To be fair.
Yep, right here. Yes. See if you can see.
The first.
Yep.
Chance of insurance for.
How are you?
How are you?
No, right.
But if something happens. Yeah. Like, God, you're not this.
Probably do.
Ooh, the killing me makes on those. No, you sell somebody, I know, or find that. And then like, 20% of it is thrown away, you know, for that, you know, when they just don't use it. Oh, you got somebody on the book. Yeah.
All right, we're 1 o'clock. Everyone mind if we get started? Time is money. First of all, I just wanted to thank everyone that's here today. We've kind of developed some framework for setting goals and trying to attain them on our team. And I'm really excited that you guys are here and eager to learn at the same time. So thank you everyone for being here. This is my first time doing it, obviously. So, this will be the worst iteration that I have of this. So thank you guys for bearing with me through the worst iteration. But I've tried really hard to make it as impactful as possible. I don't know how long it'll take exactly. I sat down one-on-one with people and going over this, but I haven't as a group before. I encourage questions. The goal is not just to get through it, it's to understand it and understand the framework. So feel free to ask questions as we go through. We will have a hard shut off in 1 hour. I think that we can get it done before then and then just open it up for questioning at the end, basically. And there's a brief thing about sphere of influence if we get done the framework in time, which I think can be really impactful too. A common theme that you'll see here is attempting to accomplish the same outcome in a shorter period of time. As self-employed people, if we are able to do that, we basically give ourselves a pay raise if we can get the same result in a shorter period of time. For starters, I wanted to thank everyone for showing up. The aim of this training is to set up the goals in the framework so that it just comes down to showing up. You'll understand through time and math that you have the ability to hit your goal. So it just becomes showing up and doing the process every day, laying your head down on the pillow at night, knowing that you're getting closer. A brief background. I used to race dirt bikes. I was in the dirt bike industry from age 4 to 26. At 26, I had the opportunity to work in the same field, racing dirt bikes and riding dirt bikes for a third of the pay, or figure out something else to do in life. I had a mentor at that point in time tell me when I was trying to decide what I wanted to do in life, he said, Broc, most people spend their whole damn life climbing the ladder of their business, and they get to the top of the ladder and they realize they're in the wrong damn building. And it was one of the best pieces of information that I've ever been given, especially at the time and when I needed it. This business is the ultimate ladder. It'll take you to wherever you want to go. It's just time and math, and if you're willing to put in the work, basically. So congratulations to you guys for finding such an amazing field. Most fields that you're in, there is a ceiling. There's somewhere that you get stopped with at some point. You don't have that in real estate. It's all what you put into it is what you get out of it, basically. Using these systems, our real estate team has sold over 475 properties in just 6 years. And none of us on the team had any formal sales training. So it's basically just off the framework and the systems that we're going to go over here. In your guys' opinion, and I'll just tell you my opinion, what is the #1 quality of successful realtor? Show of hands, just yell it out. What do you guys think?
Problem solver.
Problem solver? Okay.
Communicating.
Communicating?
People like and trust you.
People like and trust you. Yep.
Consistency.
Consistency. So I guess, and let me take a step back, because success can mean a lot of different things. So, you could be successful by selling a lot of houses, but you don't have any life work balance at home. You could be successful by, maybe you don't sell as many houses, but you just feel really fulfilled, but you're not making enough income that you actually need to make to be able to live the lifestyle that you want or even survive. I personally think the #1 quality of a successful realtor is the ability to time block and the ability to follow and execute a schedule, basically. Because if you're able to do that, you can work. The other stuff is skills problems, and skills problems are fairly easy to work on. This is almost a lifestyle change. It's being able to systematically plan out your day. And then as you guys know, as realtors, I mean, we get everything in the kitchen sink thrown at us every day. And you have to really adhere and stick to that schedule so that you can be home with your wife and kids at night, so that you can live the life that you want to live while also selling the amount of houses that you want to sell. I wanted to show you guys briefly time blocking for us. Time blocking is really key in my opinion. I have 3 quick examples to show you here, and we're going to get into the meat and potatoes in a minute here. But this is a future week of time blocking. I know it's really tough on the screen there, but for the most part, my weeks are basically planned out on a weekly basis, and all of those are reoccurring time blocks, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And they get changed sometimes on a weekly or a monthly basis based off of what did I get done this week and what was I trying to get done this week. Sometimes you have to make the time blocks longer, or sometimes even shorter if you're able to accomplish what you wanted to accomplish in a shorter period of time. We gray out when we do a good job. So this is not a great week of time blocking. You can see a lot of blue in there. That means that I did not hit the schedule that I wanted to during those times. Green, we use a system. If it's green, because we have a team, sometimes we're setting appointments for each other. So we basically, the green stuff is money-making activities that we can't schedule over. The blue can be moved around into different spots. And then this is a good week of time blocking, actually following the schedule, following it the way that it's intended, and more of a successful week overall. I wanted to show you that because it's going to come back into play as we go over this here. So for starters, I think the most important thing for people to be successful in real estate is to have a big enough why. Does anyone feel comfortable sharing their big why? Like what they're in real estate for? What is success? You're at the end of your career. What does success look like to you? What's the reason that you're in the business?
I'll say what I want.
There we go. Thank you.
Everybody. I want to be able to work remotely.
Okay.
Yeah. I love to travel. I love to live in different parts of the world while I still work my business.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. I have a similar basic in a way. Yeah. What do you feel like you're going to be able to do real estate remotely at that point in time, or is this just the vessel that gets you to the point that you can do your next step, so to speak?
I would still do real estate if I can.
Yep.
Or have to be the vessel.
Okay. Yep. Because my mind went to like real estate coaching. You can do that from a yacht. You can do that from anywhere that you want, basically, and just have a clientele and be able to coach people. And it's applicable because of the knowledge that you've gained in real estate at the same time.
Yeah.
Anyone else feel like sharing? Yes.
Having my bills paid off and money in the bank.
There you go. Yep. Well, and that's so one of the things that we're going to define as an income goal. And through that income goal, we can make sure that through math, you're going to accomplish that, basically. So one thing with the big why, I think, is the most important. It's the foundational, like you have to start with that. So if you look at the sheet that I gave everyone, big why is the first thing there. And one thing that I'd like to ask is, could you do that? Could you accomplish that on your own? Because if you can accomplish it on your own, your why likely isn't big enough, in my opinion. I think that you should want to either help other people get to their goal, or you need other people to help to get to your goal. Whatever that might look like, the best relationships in life are people working together to accomplish this big goal or this big ambitious target that they have. I'm a big believer in you show the motivation and I can show you the result. So you look at someone like, man, Elon Musk is maybe a good example. He just wants to go to Mars, and every day he works his tail off because his goal is so high and so strong that if he didn't work every day, he wouldn't get to that point, basically. I don't think it's productive or healthy for most people to have that ambitious of a goal. But I do think that you always want to be pushing out of your comfort zone and making it worthwhile to you and to your family and to everyone else. For some things to help you figure out your big why, the failure rate in this business is 90% in the first 5 years. So I think that your failure rate has to be larger, or your why has to be larger than the failure rate. So when you're thinking about the big why, what I would encourage everyone to do is to write the big why on their paper. Has anyone gone through the process of high road, low road? Like a needs analysis, high road, low road, anyone hear those things? So high road, low road is basically think about your big why. Think about your family, your wife, your kids, your spouse, whoever it might be. Think about the different life that they're able to live if you're able to accomplish your goal and your big why. And then
I
that's the
don't.
high road. And then think about the low
So,
road.
it's a long
So
time
what
though,
negative impacts do you have on your
yeah,
kids, on your
it doesn't
family?
need
Do they go
to
to the
be
same college? Do they, like really
just keep it
work
like in
that
the
out in your
pantry or
mind as much as you
something.
can? You want your big why to strike like an emotional response to you.
I
You want to get
don't
deep enough in
know
that
the shelf
thinking
life,
that
though.
it can make you cry because you're that passionate and you care that much about your big why. This business is tough, 90% failure in first 5 years. You have to be passionate about what you're doing this for. And if you can get that connected somehow, that your daily work that you're doing is because your son is going to go to a better college, because your wife is going to be able to retire, because whatever it might be, that's your big why, so that you can be on a yacht helping people, whatever it is, like make sure that that's so passionate and that you care so much about that, that on the days that you're told no, cold calling 5 times in a row, people telling you to screw off, whatever they're telling you, that the emotion of I'm going to accomplish this for my family and for the people that I care about is greater basically than any no or anything that you're given. After you find your big why, I think the next step is to figure out an income goal. So there's a lot to this business, and there's so many things that you can do. What I've tried to do here is build like the minimalist framework, and then you guys can build off of it with scaffolding. So, or use it as scaffolding to build off of, like a good foundation. Could everyone write their income goal down for now until the end of the year? What is your income goal? Ryan, do you know what the average commission at KW Keystone is?
Like percentage of price?
No, just total commission right now. Average sale?
It's like just around 6 grand.
6 grand, okay.
Maybe.
Well, boy.
Yes, sir.
That's kind of $50,000. That's what a reasonable. That actually would be.
Oh, that's a tough one. So are you part-time or full-time?
Everyone's on the day.
Okay. Okay, but you still have a full-time job as well, or is it part-time? Full-time? Ryan, what would be a good goal first year, someone that does have someone that has full-time, but is looking like is full-time with this as well? What do you think a good
So dual career,
dual career?
as far as like volume units?
Income.
I mean, I think it's different for everybody, but if it's a stepping stone to get you out of your other job, that's, I guess, I don't know how to answer that, but 50 grand for a new, like Carter's 18. So his income goal might be different out of the other job that he's in
Yep.
versus somebody that could be doing this in their 30s or 40s.
I would take whatever amount you're making right now, Carter, and make that your income goal. Because if you were able to hit that through this, then you can throw that to the side and just focus on this full time. So that would be my opinion. What you're making now, that's your income goal. If not higher. Yep. Yeah, yep,
Cause you don't get your taxes taken out of your checks here.
true. Yep. You get write-offs too, though, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you have your income goal, we can then reverse engineer that goal by taking your average commission and dividing it by your income. So whatever your average commission is, Ryan said the average here is 6,000 if you want to use that as a baseline. If you're a newer agent, probably shoot a little bit lower, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 per sale. And the biggest factor on how much money you can make is how connected you are, but we'll get into that at the end and how important that is for you. Let me know if we have that. Just yell out done if we can. Once I hear a consensus, then we'll keep moving forward. Thank you.
Dana, you've been doing it for like 15 years, you should know.
First of all, I'm not that old yet. You said.
A decade.
Now, for those that are done with that portion, the next portion is some of the most time consuming. So we'll start at least breaking into how to get into that. You want to take your goals, and this is how you can start to reverse engineer them to let you know what you need to do on an annual basis to hit the goals that you're shooting for. So in the top portion there where it says sold and buyer and seller, first, you're going to determine what percentage of your business is typically buyer and what percentage of your business is typically seller. There will be some math after that. Hopefully everyone has their phone calculators on them, but I can run through it for a couple people pretty quickly as well. So we created this spreadsheet that kind of spits out the math for you based off of conversion metrics that we have kind of consistently on the team. So does anyone feel comfortable in sharing what their total sales number is for next year? And I can help them do the math really quickly.
No,
200 sales,
oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh.
33 sales.
33 sales. What percentage buyer and what percentage seller are you typically, Brian?
60 seller, 40 buyer.
Okay. So Brian, I'm not sure how, oh shoot, that's hard to see. Here, let me bring this over to you. This will give you the metrics for buyer and seller, basically, all the way down it. Mapping out how many you need to do of each one. Now, I'll walk through with everyone how to do it manually. Once you break down your percentages for buyer and seller, you have your sold number. So whatever your unit goal is, times point, whatever that might be for your percentage of buyer and percentage of seller.
Too much, one more time.
Gotcha, yep. So what is your units number?
No, just say what you said one more time.
Okay, so you'll take the units number.
Yeah.
And then you figure out what percentage you are buyer and what percentage you are seller,
Okay,
right? So then you'll take that number and whatever percentage you are, like let's say you're 50% seller and your number is 10.
okay,
You're gonna take your 10 and multiply it by 0.5, 50%.
okay,
Because it's 50% buyer, 50% seller. So that would say you need 5 buyers and 5 sellers to hit your overall units goal of 10.
okay. Is that something that you do on the very last?
I can, yep. If anyone leaves a card at the end of today, I'll just like share it out in the group message to everyone, basically, group email, yep.
So you don't, you wanna, like, you can just guess, like, you wanna do like 30 units, you can be like, well, I don't know, typically, we do like 24 buyers, and then you want, that's the same thing?
Oh, yeah, you can guess, just basically like,
Okay.
what do you typically work with buyers or sellers? You can give like an average or get close to it.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
And this is going to be the framework, but it's gonna change because sometimes you realize, wow, I've actually talked to a lot more seller leads this month.
Right.
And you can adjust the math and the metrics. If you're way ahead of one versus the other, you can start to adjust that throughout the year.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, look at this as like a loose representation, but it's nothing that you're wed to. Now, you do want to be wed to the numbers, but we'll go over that a little bit in a minute here. So then you divide, if you have your sold for buyers, and let's say it's 6, you divide it by 0.8, which is 80%, and that's going to be your pending goal. You divide the pending by 80%, that's your agreement signed. Do you get what I'm saying there with the math? You can reverse engineer to get back to conversations, which is how many conversations.
I can math, but I gotta see it and go real slow.
I understand.
If you want, you can use the easel. It's up to you.
Okay, yeah,
But there's markers under the.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And you're, are
And
you?
then I got it, then I'm good. Okay.
Expo.
They're right on. Right on.
No.
So that would be, would that break down to conversations per year then when
Per
you,
year,
okay,
that's
gotcha,
correct.
okay,
Yeah, yeah,
gotcha, thank
that'll
you.
be the first step.
Marker.
Yeah, you want to use this? It'll do the math for you.
Orange one.
So you can
That-
type in.
Me, okay?
No. Got one? Thank you.
Okay.
So let's just do, can someone just throw out a number, an easy number, a round number if we can,
200,000.
make it easier. 200,000?
Yeah.
For income?
Yeah.
So we would do our 200,000. Someone have a calculator with them? Can you divide 200,000 by 6,000?
33.
So let's say 34. So you have your income, commission. Now you find out how many units. And then once we have the units, let's say 50-50, so we'll go 50%. And then that would be 17 sales and 17 sales, buyer and seller. Can someone take 17 and divide it by 0.8? 21.25. 21. It's going to be sold. It's going to be pending. We're going to have agreements signed. Appointments had. Appointments set. Lead sheets. And conversations. Now can we take the 21 and divide it by 0.8? 26. 26. Can we take 26 and divide it by 0.6? The next number.
Yeah.
Can we do 43 divided by 0.8?
Hey, Brock,
Yes.
just, can you slow down for me first? One
Yep.
second real quick?
Yep.
I have a question. So.
Yeah.
You got this, it's the total income goal divided by the average, what Ryan said.
Yep.
That's how you get your units.
Yep.
Then you're splitting those units in half, 50-50. So if it's 30 units you're doing, or you did, so it was 34 units, so you did 17 buyer, 17 seller units.
Correct.
And then you take the 17 divided by the 0.8 divided by this, is that what you're saying?
Yep, and you work yourself backwards.
Okay.
Yep. So you're basically saying, you're starting with where you want to finish. So how many units do you want to sell?
Yeah.
And then you just start to reverse engineer that backwards. So we can say off of data, about 80% of the listing appointments that we set, we actually go to.
Mhm.
Out of those percentages, the ones that we actually go to, about 60% of them sign.
Yeah.
You know, so if we track the math, we can track the math backwards and figure out what we need to do on an annual basis to hit our goal.
So you say these are in your industry standards, these are also common, your standards too.
It's a mix of both a little bit.
What you calculated for your business.
Correct, through our team. Yep, exactly. Yep. And everyone varies a little bit, but the good thing about starting, like if you guys don't track these numbers, just these items, sold, pending, signed, appointments had, appointments set, lead sheets and conversations. I'm gonna get into what lead sheets are in a minute. But at the very minimum, start tracking those because you don't know that you have a skill problem until you start tracking these. All you see is the end goal. Oh, I didn't sell enough houses this month. Where is the clog in the chain? Somewhere there's a clog in the chain. And if you track your numbers and then look at the industry standards, you can start to identify the gaps. Now you have a skill problem. It's just getting better at maybe from set to had, I only, instead of 80%, I'm at a 60%. Do I call the day before to confirm? Am I sending out an email of what to expect at the appointment? If it's a seller lead, did I send a packet out to them beforehand? So it puts something on their front door the day before, makes them more like tied in. Yes, I'm going to do this appointment with them. So if you track these numbers and you start to fall behind some of the industry standards, you know you have a skill problem. Let's fix the skill. Does that make sense for everyone? Now, for the math, are we where we kind of need to be to move on? Does it kind of make sense? Does it? And once again, I'm not trying to push people through. If it doesn't make sense, let's stop on it now and get to the framework. But does that make sense for everyone? Yes, sir.
The math makes sense. My problem is, or my concern, I could say, is the lack of experience I have. So I can't really write a lot of big numbers like that on here.
Yep.
So should I just sit here and listen?
So I would still work it out, Carter, and you're probably going to be more buyers that you work with than sellers. I'm going to share the spreadsheet with you at the end of today, so you can just listen the whole time and then start to plug in your numbers on the spreadsheet afterwards. Just take a bunch of notes for now. And if you have questions, ask them to me. And then if you need help even afterwards, I can help you on how to run the numbers too. We could schedule a Zoom appointment or something like that. So, yep, we'll figure it out. Yep, of course. So as you read there, this breaks your goal down to math. So these are the annual numbers that you need to have. It's not weekly, monthly, it's annual numbers. So now we're going to take the number of weeks that you're going to work throughout the rest of this year. You don't have to do this right now. You could do it later if you'd like. You can put a note. But you want to figure out how many weeks you'll be working from now until the end of the year. With it being in February, you'll also subtract any deals that you've already sold so far this year. Does that make sense? You would subtract the ones you've already sold, and then you would take however many weeks you're working, subtract out vacation. If you're going on a trip, you're going somewhere, subtract that out. If you divide these numbers by the amount of weeks that you're working for this year, you'll find out what you need to do on a weekly basis to hit your goal. Does that make sense? So at the start of the year, we typically have 2 weeks of vacation. We have 50 work weeks throughout the year. So we take our numbers and we divide each one by 50. And that gives us what we need to do on a weekly basis to break this down to math to make sure that we're hitting our goal. Just staying consistent throughout the whole year. After that, we create a scoreboard, and I'll share that with everyone that leaves a business card as well. I'll show you what that looks like real quick. Oh, and you know what? Before I do, let me show you Lucas's, because Lucas's is really cool. I don't want to mess with his numbers or manipulate them, but he has it broken down, if everyone can see there, on daily metrics. It breaks it down to weekly, monthly, and daily metrics for him. So Luke is big on every single day, I'm going to try to hit these numbers, and then I'm going to be done, basically. If I hit those numbers, I'm satisfied, I'm comfortable, but after that, my day is done because it's math. I know that I'm on track and on pace to hit my goal. Our scoreboard looks like this. It has a bunch of names on it. The one that I send you will just have an empty space for one name. This is basically what we track over the course of the year because we've identified that these are the most important things to move the needle along in your business. Is anyone familiar with the 80-20 rule? The Pareto principle? From 20% of your work, basically. Yep. So this is what we've tried to identify as the 20% move the needle, most impactful things for your business, basically. We have SOI growth in here, which is really important. We're going to cover that a little bit later. We have seller conversations, seller lead sheets, buyer conversations, buyer lead sheets. We have leftover to-dos, which is, don't worry about that right now. It's more of us keeping in line with our CRM. And then at the bottom, we have our listing appointments set, listing appointments had, signed, same thing that you're going to see there, basically. We have it set up that when we hit the metric, it turns green, just gives it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing and we kind of use the term trying to go green this month or green this week. But this scoreboard is how you'll start tracking your numbers to make sure that you're in line with what's on your goal sheet, basically. I'm going to share all this with you guys. Like I said, just leave me a card and I can help you guys with all this. Next up is going to be lead sheets. We've been talking about lead sheets. It's one of the metrics there. The most basic version of a lead sheet is getting off the phone with someone and being able to answer the questions who, what, when, where, how, and why. You want to know who they are, what they're looking to do. Are they looking to buy or sell? When are they going to do it in the next how time frame? How are they looking to accomplish it? And why is it important to them that they need to move? That's the most basic. Like if you just had those 5 questions on a paper, that's all you would need. Ours goes a little bit more in depth. We have it between buyer and seller. And because we have extra questions, in order to count a lead sheet for us, it doesn't have to be the same for you. In order to count a lead sheet for us, we have to have 75% of the questions answered on the lead sheet page. And then it can count as we did a lead sheet. Now, it doesn't matter how you count it. The important thing is that you count it consistently every time and that you have a system and a process that's repeatable every single time, because then you'll have the data that you can go back to and say, oh, well, this is starting to fall behind on my lead sheets. I need to start. It's a skill problem. Once again, you need to figure out how to be better on the phone, how to communicate better, and how to get all the information out of the client while they're on the phone. I'll share the scoreboard with you. We went over lead sheets. Lead pillars. Sandy and I were talking a little bit about this. Like, what is a good lead source? In my opinion, it doesn't, not to say that it doesn't matter. There's certain ones that cost more, that convert a little bit sooner. They're more what they call bottom of funnel. There's other ones that you get a lot of leads. They hardly cost anything, but they're a lot harder to convert. our coaching company tells us that a lead is a lead. It just doesn't, like, they're gonna buy at some point, so it's a matter of, are they close to buying or are they 6 to 12 months from buying? But a lead is a lead. So I think the most important thing is, especially as newer agents, but even as seasoned agents, it's really hard to focus in on like 3 to 5 lead sources and that's it. Not to say that you wouldn't be open to another source, but you're not like hunting it, you're not focused on it. You wanna, doing one thing 100 times is going to get you immensely better than spreading yourself thin and trying to do 100 things one time. You really want to create systems that you can get better and better. And the way that you make systems is through iterations, through the number of times that you do something. So focus on I think you should always have sphere of influence as one of your pillars. And I think that you should, as a new agent, probably have 2 other pillars, like 2 other areas that you're really focused on getting leads from. And if you're an experienced agent, you can go up to maybe say 5 pillars, have 5 different sources, because by then some of the ones are going to be, Brian would know that they're just like clockwork. You know, you have a certain lead come in that's through a certain source. You're like, oh man, I've done this 100 times. It's just like I could go to sleep and handle this lead basically. So you can start to build that muscle and have more lead sources, but less is truly more in the beginning, especially as a newer realtor. You want to go super deep in certain areas. It'll really help you refine your craft a lot more. One of those should always be sphere of influence, and I hope we have a little bit of time at the end that I'll show you that activity of why sphere of influence is so important. So I'll stop there really quickly. We're going to move on to time blocking. Does anyone have any questions so far? All right. For time blocking, so now with our scoreboard, and we divided our yearly goals by the metrics, or excuse me, we divided our yearly goals by the number of weeks that we're working. So now we know what we're focused on, what we need to do. Our time blocking helps us break it down to time and math, basically. This is the math, now our time blocking. So for time blocking, now that you know who you're going to focus on, you have your lead pillars, you would set up time in your schedule, let's say every day. Can someone name a lead source? Any lead source?
Cold calling.
Cold calling. So now Isaiah is going to set up cold calling in his schedule. And for 1 hour every day, he's going to have cold calling, right? At the end of the week, he can look back then and see if his 1 hour every day matched up to the conversations and the lead sheets that he needed to have. Does that make sense? So you take the time that you have in your schedule. If you were able to accomplish it in less time, Isaiah just gave himself a pay raise.
Brock, if the numbers don't match, when do you suggest pivoting to another type of lead source?
So that's a tricky one, because I don't know that there are bad lead sources, but certain ones will give you a higher return than other ones. So what I have written in here and what I suggest to people, how much time, man, if you go a quarter, like 1/4 of the year, and it's just consistently, you've tried all these different things and you're not hitting that, it's probably going to be hard to hit it with that lead source. So you might want to look at a different lead source. You can switch faster than that too, especially if you can see that it's very low. My suggestion to people would be choose sphere of influence as one of the pillars, and then choose anything, you know, is everyone familiar with the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Playbook #2 that came out past 2 months, 3 months?
Joe's teaching out of it right now.
Joe is doing specific classes on these. They're basically just lead sources, right? It's just basically lead source after lead source after lead source. So if you're a newer realtor, hop in that book, read it, and pick the 2 that you like the most, basically. Whichever ones you like, start to do lessons on them. You know, KW has a ton of like, I'm sure they have stuff branded exactly because of the book. They have like learning materials and stuff for that source. But just go deep in those sources that you choose. Just pick 2 out of the MREA playbook. And if they're in there, I can't imagine that they're a terror. Like, you should be able to figure out a way to make it work with those lead sources, even if one might be a little bit more fruitful than another one. Your most fruitful lead source is your sphere of influence. You're not going to beat that. And if you're successful or not successful in your first year, it's almost always because you leverage your sphere of influence. No one's paying for leads in their first year and becoming rapidly successful. It's that you have to work with the people that you know and the people that you know that know other people, basically. Thank you, Ryan. Yep. So now that we have the time block, we're going to do a weekly accountability with it with your scoreboard. If we flip over the page there, weekly accountability is in the back page. So once per week, you have your scoreboard, you have your numbers defined, what you're trying to do. You have your calendar of what you need to do on a daily and weekly basis to accomplish it. Now we need some type of weekly accountability to hold you accountable to the work that you've done and make sure that you're tracking toward your goal. Once a week, whether this is a spouse, whether it's a coach, you can hire a real estate coach. It could be a team. It could be many different facets. It should be someone that you care about disappointing at the end of the day. As long as you care about them and you care about their input, you have the right person. As you go over that, you're going to look over the scoreboard together. I'll pull it back up here. And to give you an example, we haven't updated our scoreboard yet for this week, so forgive the people that are showing red because they might not actually be red this week. But as we go through the scoreboard, we'll do SOI growth. Ethan here. If Ethan is red, we're going to stop and we're going to ask 3 questions. We're going to ask, how do you think you did? What got in the way? And what are you going to do differently? If you're on a team, we also add to the end of that, how can we help? So it's not just all on you, it's also on us for helping you accomplish your goal, basically. But you want those people to ask you those 3 questions. How do you think you did? What got in the way? What are you going to do differently? And you should have answers prepared for that person of what you're going to do differently, because ultimately a failure to adhere to the numbers that you've spent all the time and energy working out is you giving up on your goals. It's you not having the commitment for your child to go to the better college, to once again, bring the big why, incur that big why again on how important it is to hit these metrics to stay on track with what we're trying to do here. After they go through those questions, you need to adjust your time blocking accordingly. So let's say you had cold calling, you wanted to do 30 seller conversations this week. Let's say you got 25. Now we had 5 hours built out. We're going to need 6 hours built out next week because we know it's just time and math. We know it took this amount this week. It's probably going to take the same amount next week and we didn't hit the goal. We need to elongate that time a little bit, which is us working a little bit harder for our money. Now, the blessing of this is, let's say you wanted 30 contacts, you got 40. Now you have a decision. Do you want to just cruise past your goal and maybe accomplish it much faster and sell even more houses at the end of the year? Or you could do 4 hours instead of doing 5 hours of that time block next week. You're still accomplishing the same result. So essentially, as a self-employed person, you've given yourself a pay raise because you've gotten the same effort done in a smaller amount of time. Does that make sense? So if we can get this framework locked in, every night when you go to sleep, it's no longer, am I doing the right thing? We have 2 settlements in a day and we think, man, it was a good day. But did we do our 10 conversations that we need to get the next 2 settlements? This business has a really easy way of tricking you, and that's why we ride roller coasters all the time, because man, it feels great. We got 4 under contract. We're doing fine. I can sleep well. And then 3 weeks later, 4 of them close. You have 1 under contract and you're thinking, where's my next meal coming from? If you're able to follow this framework, every night when you go to sleep, you can lay your head down going, I did what I needed to do today. I had no settlements in the past 2 weeks. I did what I needed to do today. I know that I'm on track to accomplish exactly what I want to accomplish with this framework. Does that make sense? I'll open it up for questions, and we have decent time, so I'd like to go over sphere of influence and why it's so important.
About some takeaways from this process. And how do you,
I have a question, but not your conversations. I did your math on that, so it's like you're saying at 17 units, 1,222 conversations. And how do you define conversation?
If they say, if they just hang up on me as soon as I talk to them, I don't count that. If I say, hey, my name's Broc, I'm with Keller Williams, and they even say, hey, I'm not interested, I'm counting that as a conversation.
Yeah.
So it's really almost any dialogue,
Gotcha.
almost any dialogue. What's important is not the way that we track it, though, it's that you track it consistently over time so that you can get your metrics figured out. Does that make sense? Because
I'm assuming your CRM tracks conversation time, like follow-up boss uses, it says 1 minute of conversation.
Yep.
I'm assuming you do something similar to that.
We actually don't. So we use Bold Trail and it doesn't give us conversation time. So we simply, did you speak to the person and get your name and everything out, and did they respond to you? That would count as a conversation.
Yeah, I got you.
That's why in this process, it's trying, because we're running a team at the same time. So we're trying to gamify the system. So it turns it into just making calls every day. You're trying to take people down the funnel And that's the full funnel right there. The first step is getting in contact with them. Once you get in contact with them, your next goal, your next mission, so to speak, in the game is to try to get who, what, when, where, and how figured out. Once you get that figured out, now your next step is to set the appointment. Once you've had the appointment, or once you set it, your next step is to have it. So you're just moving them down the chain, basically, of the conversation. So we're pretty liberal on what was a conversation. If I say my name and they just hang up on me right away, I don't count it. But if there's any type of dialogue, I'm typically going to count that.
Got you.
Yep. Yep.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Okay. The bottom of the page, I think, is one of the most important. We talked about it a little bit earlier, like what defines your success in real estate, especially as a newer agent. It's almost all sphere of influence. It's the people that you know. So Dave, is anyone familiar with Dave Hook? He's a solid dude, solid realtor, solid person, human being, everything. What's that? He's almost like a robot. He's crazy. So he sat me down and he taught me a little bit of this activity here, or basically all of this activity. In life, you have three currencies. It's time, money, and influence. And when people start any career field, mostly they just have time and they're trying to put as much time as they can into it to try to get as much result as they can out. They don't have money or influence to leverage to spend less of their time. Now, as you're in the business, you're going to start making more money so you can start to leverage some of your time for money, or some of your money for time, excuse me. So that could go through like paying leads. That could go through hiring an assistant. There's certain things that you can do, maybe a virtual assistant. There's certain things that you can outsource, spend money, and give yourself more time so that you can either focus on leads or spend time with family, whatever it might be. We should always be working over the course of our career to be gaining as much influence as possible and spending as much influence as we can to get the same outcome that time or money could have given us. So you can figure out ways to leverage your influence to spend less time, spend less money, and still get the same result. So when you work with any client, in order for them to use you for a real estate transaction or to refer you to someone else, they have to like you, trust you, and remember you when it comes time to sell a house. How much time do you think it takes? Let's say you're doing an open house. Let's say you're cold calling. How much time do you think it takes on average for a brand new person that's never met you before to like you, trust you, and remember you?
6 hours.
6 hours?
Just depending on like how.
6 hours.
Dave Hook said the average time is about 5 hours. He said about 5 hours. So it might be 30 minutes to drive to the property. That counts as time that you're spending. So it's an average of 5 hours for them to like you, trust you. Just your work involved. How much work do you have involved to gain this person's trust? So normally it's going to be and he's pretty data driven. He says it's about 5 hours basically that it's going to take for a new person off the street. Now, if you were to go through your phone and email and Facebook and Instagram and everything, let's say you go through all your sources and you were to go A, B, C down the line on everything, your phone book, your email address book, everything. How many people do you think already like you, trust you, and would remember you if you reached out to them more often? 3? You've done really well. So I know you have a strong sphere. So the idea with this activity is basically most people, if they did that activity and they truly thought long and hard about it, thought about doctors, thought about family members, friends, all this stuff, most people could come up with 250 people, 200 to 250 people, basically. I know it sounds like a lot, but if you actually went through the activity line by line in all of your different sources, you could likely find 200 to 250 people that already like you, trust you, and remember you. So there's a math equation at the bottom, and it basically says 8 to 10% of the population moves annually. So you can assume that around 8% of your sphere of influence will move over the next year, or at least know someone close to them that is moving. So whatever your number is, if you guys could write it, how do you think it's 200? Does anyone think they had 250 people if they thought really hard about it, went through their phone, went through their address book, everything else? Yeah. Okay. Yep. It sounds very daunting, but if you actually took the time to go through the activity, I bet no one here is under 150. Like it's,
If you passed away, you only would get 2 people at your funeral.
yeah,
Is that the number is in there?
Wow, Ryan.
that's correct. Yep, you would write that in there. Yep. And then we're also going to write that in the first, so you write it right above a 30 hours where it's written, and then right where it says times 0.08, we're going to write it right before that too. So you take your total number, which is the number above, and then your number of sales. So if you take the 250 or whatever your number is, and you multiply it by 0.08, that's 8%. That tells you your number of sales that your SOI, your sphere of influence, should garner over the next 12 months. And then you multiply that. Remember, we already did our average commission before. You multiply that number of sales by your average commission. And that gives you the value of your sphere of influence over the next 12 months. Everyone get on that part? Close to it? How many do you think you have? They have to trust you. You don't have to trust them. You can use a low end, you can use a high end. It's just a fun activity to do that shows the value of it.
That's a thing.
I just-
Friends are.
Well, that's true. That's tougher. Nope, they like you, trust you, and would remember you.
I don't wanna, like, I feel like most of my business in the past few years have come from my spirit.
Yep. And
90%.
have you reached out to them systematically, or do they just kind of, okay? Yep.
Facebook scrolling or, you know what I mean?
Yep. With this activity, you're super social. Like you would have if you started reaching out systematically, your number would probably be 350. Like, so put 250 there. I think you would have 250 all day. Anyone disagree? You'd be fine. Yep. So if you were to do 250 and then multiply it by 0.08, excuse me, 0.08, that gives you your total number of sales. Yep.
What are you reaching out to them and saying?
That is a whole nother topic, and we can get a lot deeper in that, but you want to touch them 40 to 60 times a year. So, but like, let's say 12 of them could be like a quick newsletter that you're sending out once a month. 12 could be like an e-alert for their neighborhood. So you send them a bright search update of what's selling in their neighborhood once a month. So they always keep a pulse of what's in the market and what's happening in their area. So that it gets a little bit deeper, but we could talk about that sometime too, Sandy, if you want to stop by. Yeah. Yep. I can share our plan with you. Our big thing is we like to do at least 2 client appreciation parties a year, so that whenever we're calling them, we only call 4 times a year, and we try to always add value when we're calling. So twice would be to invite to the client appreciation party. Once might be, do you need any vendors for the spring? Start getting your property just in a better light, or, you know, better taken care of. Any improvements or additions that you're making. And at the end of the year, we like to send them, if everyone's familiar with an NAR RPR report, it's something that we have access to for being realtors, part of NAR. But it basically gives them like an automated estimate, a bunch of information on their school district, that kind of stuff. So it's a nice little touch to send at the end of the year to say, hey, did you know where your home value might be based off of this automated estimate?
Past clients too.
It will be past clients. Yep. It's just whoever likes you, trusts you, and already knows you, basically. Yep. 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 So the numbers, to make the math easy, the numbers on the top line, the two, you know, whatever your number is, time 0.08, all that, it's the same at the bottom. Okay, so it's the same numbers. The difference is when you get over to time on the far right. Yeah, time should be empty right now. So in order to get, if you have your list of 250, basically for you to reach out to them or to hunt down email addresses, you might have like a phone number of one, but you don't have their home address. To go and gather all that data for 250 people takes about 30 hours of your time, about 30 hours total, okay? So if you write on the first line, 30 hours for time. Now for the second line, the math is going to be the same. So whatever number is your number above times 0.08, average commission, value of leads, all that's the same. It's the same value of lead, same number above, same number of sales, same average commission. The difference is your number above on the far left, multiply that by 5 and put that in the time section in the far right.
Here, value of leads.
That is going to be the same as this right here.
Why do you use 30 again? I missed that.
30, if you have 250 leads, it takes about 30 hours. So if you have 150, it might take 18 or something like that. So you can adjust that number a little bit depending on how many leads you have in there.
250 divided by, so things you said 30, so you're spending about 8. How'd you get there? How do you get to the 30?
It's what Dave told me.
And what?
That's how I got to it.
It.
Once you have your list of 250,
Yeah.
you're not going to have all their information. You might need an email address for one. You might need a phone number or a mailing address for one.
Yeah.
In order to gather the rest of that data so that you have like 4 points of contact, it takes about 30 hours.
Sure. For
Yep.
50 people.
Exactly.
So about
Yep.
8 hours per person. Divided out.
No,
No.
that should be right, right?
No.
So 8 minutes a person.
Yeah, my bad.
8 minutes a person.
8 minutes a person.
Yep. Because some you'll probably have all the information for. Others, it's just a quick phone call. Hey, just need to update my database.
Sure.
Did
Yeah.
you say divide or times?
Which one?
Right
Sorry.
here.
That, you'll take this number and multiply it by 5. Your number above multiplied by 5.
So we're writing exactly what we were about again, but we're taking, so I started at 250, so I take 250 times, what do you say, 5.
Yep, the whole bottom line would be the same, but the time would be 1,250. Yep. So the idea of this activity, when I sat down with Dave Hook, one of my first meetings with him, I said, if you could wave a magic wand and you could go back in time and teach yourself one thing at the start of this business, what would it be? And this is what he taught me. He said when he first started, he would door knock like crazy. He picked 3 neighborhoods. He door knocked them. It took him about 2 years, and he amassed about 250 people that liked him, trusted him, and knew him well enough that if they were to move, he could count on them on calling him, basically. That total time, because it takes 5 hours per person to gain their trust, took 1,250 hours for those 250 clients. When you look at that 1,250 hours and then you sitting down and going through the activity of A, B, C, all the way to Z through your phone, your email address, social media, that total time to get all that together should take about 30 hours. So you're looking at the same, if you look at the value, that the income is the same at the end of the day. One takes 30 hours to accomplish, one takes 1,250 hours to accomplish. It's insane the value of your SOI, and it's insane that we don't tap into it every single day because it's easy money compared to any other lead source that you're going to track or follow. 100%. And trust is the biggest thing in real estate. So. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Last weekend, for instance, I went through every single number in my phone.
Yep.
And I sent a simple message like, hey, Brian, this is Carter. I'm reaching out to let you know I'm a realtor and would love to be a resource if ever needed. Feel free to contact me at any time. I added a business card to that. What should my second reminder be? Because I don't want to annoy them. I don't want to like text them for any random reason.
Yep.
But should I reach out again?
You should, how long ago was that?
Last week.
Last week? Okay. So we like to do 4 calls a year. And the way that we accomplish that is kind of systematically. If you take 2 letter groups, there's 26 letters in the alphabet. So if you take 2 letter groups and call 2 letter groups every week, so like let's say A and B, C and D, E and F, you'll get through your entire sphere of influence 4 times throughout the year. If you just pick 2 letter groups a week. Now, the tricky part is you don't want to call them just to say, hi, what's up? I'm a realtor. You want to have some type of item of value or something to be able to help them every time that you're calling. So sometimes you can piggyback on maybe, something that the office does, like a get together, a gathering. Are they a lot of homeowners, not many homeowners, mostly people that are renting? What's most of your sphere of influence?
There would be a lot of them would be my age.
Yep.
Some would be people that I worked with before, which would be older. Others would be just simple people like an old teacher.
Okay, yep. So for people that already own their property, a great thing to start out with, in my opinion, are those NAR RPR reports. And if we schedule a Zoom later, Carter, we can go through that too, and I can show you how to pull those up for people. But that's a big tool, in my opinion, for sellers, just to see what their property's worth. Not all home insurance providers automatically increase your coverage every year, and home property values over the last 5 years have gone crazy. So a really good SOI touch is, we were using this last year. I had a house fire last year. We sent the NAR RPR report, and then we would follow it up with a phone call saying that I was underinsured personally, and they should reach out to their insurance providers to make sure that they're adequately covered based off the automated estimate that it gives. So a lot of your game with dealing with sphere of influence is figuring out what's a value add for them. Because if you can add value to them over a period of time, they would be foolish not to use you when it's time to sell or buy a house. Yep.
So just make sure I reach out and make it a value to them.
Make it about them and a value add. Especially, you're not going to have as much sphere of influence because you're younger. You haven't built up quite as much yet. So go deep with each one and try to figure out something that's a value add. If they're living at home, hey, have you thought about buying? Have they thought about renting? Can I help you with searches in certain areas? That kind of stuff can work too. You may even be able to throw like a mini event or piggyback on someone else's event or something too. You always want to reach out to add value versus feel like you're asking or taking all the time. Does Joe have one for Sphere? One of the MEREAs? Okay. Okay. Because that one might be a good one to sit in on too, and how to systematically reach out to your sphere of influence. We do 40 contacts a year. Dave Hook does 60 contacts a year. So, and that can be broken down. It's 24 emails, 4 calls, maybe 4 mailers, 6 mailers or something like that. You want to hit them by air, land, and sea so that they're getting it from different way. It doesn't feel like as repetitive or like you're calling them every week trying to ask them something. Yeah. Yeah.
Some sir, even though they are part of my sphere, they wouldn't want to talk to me every week on the phone either.
Correct. Yep. 4 times a year though is not terrible, especially if you're adding value every single time that you talk to them. That's the key. Yep. Yes, sir.
Are you getting your addresses? I'm a pretty big sphere, but I'm not asking where you live.
Forewarn now.
Public record and Forewarn.
Yeah. Are you logged into Forewarn?
He's a realtor now.
It's a free resource through RAYAC.
Actually, something I did, once we got forewarned, I actually went right back through all mine, but it's even nice
Nice.
to refresh, even if you did a deal or at one point did talk to them, just reach back.
Yeah, I try to
out.
keep pretty good records of all the houses I've lived in, stuff like that, but it's, the people that I know personally.
Yep.
It's like.
Yep.
Yeah, here,
Oh, Rayak, they'll get you, just you need a login code for it.
I think I got it, I just didn't sign up.
Yeah, just so it's very easy.
But you can just look up.
Anything you want.
Any other questions from anyone? We got 3 minutes left. I promise to honor everyone's 1 hour time limit. Yes, sir.
Just so I'm clear on this.
Yeah.
The bottom section here is actually showing us how, the difference between doing the grunty prospecting versus one of your spheres.
Yep.
You're saying 30 hours of time to update information. What do you do after with the information? You do the 4 touches a year.
40 touches a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that essentially that then goes into this for you.
What's that?
After you do this, the 40 touches essentially ends up in this.
Well, in a way, you end up, so that's just the trust and know you. That the bottom number is not necessarily they're going to be buying a house after 5 hours. That's just for them to trust you and know you well enough.
Yeah.
So
So you're doing this to get them to that.
just to get them to that, and then you're still working for them.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, there might be a few stragglers there that you go out and you see 2 houses and they write an offer, but for the same amount to them, there's gonna be ones that look at 15 and don't buy a house. So it kind of works out in the wash.
Yeah.
You just want to get them to the point that they would recommend you or they would use you. And then you know that out of those people, about 8% of them are gonna move. So the game is how many people can I get that like me, know me, and trust me, and how quickly can I do it? because the faster that you can accomplish that, you're getting the same result, but with less effort. Yep. Yep. Any other questions?
I'll just wrap it up, but Broc, I want to thank you for taking your time and doing this. Hopefully you guys all got good value add from it in some way. As we go throughout this course of the year, just know that you're gonna do at least 6 of these. Every other month, we're gonna try to have Broc come in. His is gonna be more systematic approaches, tracking numbers, understanding your numbers. Joe's class, which has already ran twice now, is more fundamental, using the MREA playbook. So just encourage you guys to attend all these classes. Pick one thing out of it. Take 60 minutes of your day, one thing out of it, and implement it into your business. And I promise you, by the end of the year, your business will be better than what it was today. But you have to do it. But we're in business for ourselves. We're not employees. We're independent contractors. This is all based on what the effort that we're going to put into it. It sounds like a lot, but when you break it down, it's not that bad. You just got to do it.
It's getting it the first time. When you talk to Lucas was gonna zoom in, I'm not sure if he made it, but right when I was about to leave, he was like, "Oh no, it'll be good." He's like, "I can't imagine living my life without this now." It's like that type of a thing. Once you get the framework and the things in place, it is difficult, but I think that's why not a lot of people are like teaching it and doing it basically, but it's difficult to set up. Once you have it set up, it's like, it just gives you clarity. You know that you're on track every single day to get to where you want to get at the end of the day. And you can do it out over a longer period too, 10-year goals, all that. It's all just broken down to math. If you know this math, you can break down any goal that you have into math for you. Yes, Sandy?
Put in social media.
Not as much as I should. So my schedule, I go home from 1 to 3 every single day, and I try to eat 2 meals, and I try to do social media while I'm at home and eating and stuff like that. So I make sure to get through everyone's birthdays, and we do what's called a 10-10-10-5, which is we try to do 10 likes, 10 comments, 10 story interactions, and then 5 either DMs or shares. So we try to do that 5 days a week, 10-10-10-5, 10 likes, 10 comments, 10 story interactions, and 5 either shares or replies to DMs. It's definitely important.
People remember you.
Yes.
What you're doing, but it's not a true interaction. Unless you're talking to them.
Yep. It shouldn't be substituted for, oh, I reached out to my sphere of influence because I commented on their Facebook or something like that. A lot of times I don't think that matters as much. But I think it's good to be commenting on everyone's stuff because the more that they see you, our coaching company that we used to use, they give us the analogy of Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola does a lot of brand advertising where they know that you're not going into that store to buy a Coca-Cola, but they know that if you see Coca-Cola long enough and like at enough locations, whenever you're thirsty, you might think of drinking Coca-Cola first. So as a realtor, you kind of want to be in the same position. You put your name, and that's leveraging your influence. You're not spending money, you're spending a little bit of time, but you're not buying leads. You're just using your influence on social media so that when they think of a realtor, hopefully they think of you first. Yes, sir. What's that? Yeah.
My personal opinion is add value to like conversations by give them value by talking to them and giving them the information that they like, and then use social media as a reminder. So every time they see your name in their phone, they're reminded of the value that they gave.
Yep. Solid. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I try to. A lot of times I end up like, I haven't eaten yet today. Yeah. I get laser focused and then I end up not eating. So I'm supposed to eat breakfast. I have it time blocked every day, but I do not normally eat breakfast. Yeah. The last 3 days I haven't eaten breakfast. So yeah. But I have a sleep ring and I found that I sleep better if I eat earlier. So when I eat late at night, I don't get into like as deep sleep as much and stuff like that. So I try to eat, if I could be done eating by like 3 or 4 o'clock, it gives enough time for my body to digest it so that I sleep better. I try not to. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that dude's a nut.
Yeah.
That dude's a nut. Yeah.
Yeah, to that extent, yes, but there's like definitely some sort of things you can take.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
One of those
Yeah.
really-
Yep.
By 6.
By 6, okay, yep,
6 feet down, especially caffeine by, I tried no later than 3.
yeah. Caffeine has a half-life of, I think, 10 or 12 hours, so it's still in your system. If you drink it at 12 o'clock, it's still in your system at midnight. Yeah. Cool, thank you, everyone. I appreciate it, yeah.